Hello, my name is Jeffrey Wyrick, and I'd like to welcome you back to the Easy Squeeze Page Generator tutorial series. Now today as we begin our lesson, you'll notice that we're on Google, and I've started by running a search on what's called the Belcher button. Now, for those of you who have been marketing for a while, there's no surprise that once you collect the opt-in and someone has signed up, it's customary to try and give them at least a small upsell. Maybe it's just a $1 trial, maybe it's a $7 offer, maybe it's a $17 intro mailer. Whatever it is that you're doing, you just want to maximize your potential and make it as effective as possible. And one of the things that I've learned over the years that helps with that is having a more attractive presentation. Not that your whole website has to be really flashy, but certain elements have to stand out. And in this case, we're going to be demonstrating today what's called the Belcher button. Now, the Belcher button's origins, to my understanding, come from a man named Perry Belcher, which is why I wanted to actually run a quick search to share this with you. And I'm sure we've all seen something similar to this at some point in time. A few more examples I noticed were down here, like this and this. In fact, I'll bet this pulls up Google Images, where there are tons and tons of different examples of various Belcher buttons. And here's Perry himself. I know this because he and his partner Ryan are people that I look up to as being what you might call a mentor, someone I've learned a great deal from over the years, and I'm happy to have been able to get that benefit from the information that they provide. Today, though, we're not going to go into the history of internet marketing or who Perry Belcher is. I just wanted to give you a little background and show you where this comes from, because I'm sure we've all seen it, and it does work. It works extremely well. If you want to look it up, you're more than welcome to. Anyhow, let's move forward. Getting started with your Belcher button, all you have to do is click Other Images, launch the wizard, and choose the Belcher Button Creator. Then click Next Step, and the graphic creator will open. Now you'll notice that I make these full screen so that they're easier for you to see. There are a lot of options here, so we're going to try and go over them really quickly. The first thing I want to point out here is that you'll notice that there is a checkered line around this. There are 3 different options if you come over here to the border color to choose from. You can have no border. The scissors, of course, will be the checkered. And you can have a square border. I found that the actual checkered border does seem to draw in a little bit more attention, but depending on what you're doing, you may not want any border at all. The next thing to consider is the actual fonts that you're using. Now this is the same with most of the stuff that we're doing. There we go, nice red one. Then your subheadline is that part that goes underneath your Add to Cart button. I generally stick with a darker blue. And then your PS headline. Again, generally I'll stick with a darker blue. There we go. Your border color, you can make it any color you want. Let's scroll down a little bit here. Usually I'll use a darker red. This seems to be the most common use right here. Quite often you'll see buttons that look like this all over the place being used. But what you don't see is how they're created, or what it takes to put one together. And if you don't have the ability or the time or resources to, open up Photoshop and make this beautiful graphic presentation, then this software is going to help you a great deal. It's going to save you time, it's going to save you money, and it's going to give you something appealing that's going to draw your customers and your partners' eyes in. Now today we're going to make 2 buttons. The first is for the actual traditional Belcher button, which is an Add to Cart button. You'll notice that the orangish yellow, much like the last button that we created, is very commonly used. There are other options that I'll show you as we go through this. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's kind of take this back a little and go from left to right. You'll see over here where it says Background Menu. You can start with nothing in the background. That's the background area behind the Belcher button or behind the Add to Cart button. You could have what they're calling a Clean Professional, which gives it a little bit more depth. You can add something that looks a little bit more like a sticky note. Something that looks a little bit more like a note paper. You can use the certificate style. You can use the Get Money option. Then they have what they call blue blockers with a Z at the end. And of course green blockers. Now for now we're going to stick with the no background, because we're going to actually create a typical Add to Cart Belcher button. Coming over towards the middle, you'll notice the graphic add-ons menu. You start again with the clear pill box. Then you have the edge box. That's the part right here around the add to cart button. You have submit green. This was very popular for quite a while. Then you have submit red. Typically, I will stick with the clean pill box. It does seem to be more effective. Now moving down, we have credit card icons. You've got the Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover, which is the default. And you've got my personal favorite, which also adds in PayPal. And of course, you have the free offer option, just in case you're offering something to, say, a JV partner or a free trial that lets them know that they don't have to come out of pocket and give you any money. For now, let's stick with the PayPal credit card icons. And since we've already chosen our colors over here on the right, let's take a look through the font styles for the headers, and then we'll adjust our fonts again and save the image. Now by default, you'll notice the H1 headers are already chosen. Next you have the H2, which stands out a little bit more. H3, H4, H5, H6. Now you can change the color of these fonts at any point in time. What they're doing is giving you different depths and sizes. You'll notice as we go back through these quickly that each one changes just a little bit. And we're again going to tell it red at the top. And again, we're going to tell it to use the PS headline in a dark blue. So I think I'm going to change this up a little bit. I want to show you how to edit the actual text before we go. Warning. Limited time only. Then on our subheadline, which is down here, we're going to change that to click here to get started today. For the very bottom part, I'm going to leave this the way it is. I will take the exclamation off the top. If I did want to add more down here, you'll notice that it's very possible to add anything I want. All I have to do is type the words in here. It's all done in your web browser. I can highlight it just like any text document, and I'm ready to go. For now, though, I think we're going to just stick with this option. It seems to be an attractive button. It gives them a call to action. It tells them it's a limited time offer. It tells them to add to cart, get started today. It informs them that they're guaranteed to get access even if it's 2 a.m. And it tells them that they can use PayPal or any one of the 4 major credit cards. Now that we have a button that we're happy with, the final step is to simply click here to save graphic as JPG. And once we've done this, we can right click and copy image. Next, we're going to open GIMP. Let's give that a second to open. We're going to inspect our element. Now guys, I'm using Chrome for this, Google's Chrome browser. I love this inspect element option because it allows me to actually look back and see what the metrics are. In this case, that's 527 by 323. So with our new image, we're going to tell it 527 by 323. And we're simply going to paste that in there. It doesn't look like it needs to be cropped at all. Let's close our metrics. Move this over. And our final step, we want to tell it to save as. Now you'll notice that right here at the top it says .xcf. I did have to pause the video briefly because I'd made one mistake. I forgot to tell it to save it as a JPG. That's a major mistake because for some reason with this software it doesn't recognize it any other way. There we go. We want it to handle that. Save it. Let's open our file to make sure it's there. Beautiful. Now let's get rid of the other one that we'd saved using the GIMP options. Excellent. Now I did promise that we were going to make 2 images today. So let's get back over here. I'm going to minimize this. Close this window. Open up the wizard again. And in this next one, we're going to move through this a little quicker. I want something that we can use to show our JV partners. A special free offer so that they can actually preview the product without having to worry about actually paying for it. So we're going to remove the border. I'm going to add in the Get Money option. Exclusive JV partners only. Download now free. Let's put a little hyphen in there so it stands out. Click here to preview before we launch. And then down here, actually I think I'm going to make that black. The same with this down here. I'm not going to actually change the text. I'm just going to make it black so that it stands out. And we're going to use the free offer. Now you'll notice there's absolutely no cost associated with this, and yet there's a money symbol behind there. A JV partner is someone that you hope to do business with. You want them to preview your offer so that they can write nice things on their websites and their blogs. They can create beautiful emails, or if you're already providing what's called creatives, they're happy to send these out because they've seen the money-making potential in whatever it is that you have to offer. So we're creating this button here, and as our last step, we're going to simply click to save as a JPG, right click, copy image. It's important to remember not to use save image, not to use copy image URL, not to use the open image in a new tab. And again, I'll show you why. This is what happens. It's the way the software is designed for security. Just right click, copy image, open GIMP. Let's go back here for just a quick second, inspect our element. Click metrics. It's 531 by 326. Let's move this over here so we can see it. New 531 by 326. We can actually close this if we want. Now you'll notice this does seem a little larger than it should be. So we're going to come over and we're going to use the cropping tool, which is right here. I'm going to bring this down and around. If we want to undo that, we can. Let's try undo history. There we go. Had to fiddle with that a little bit. Let's recrop that. There we go. Now we're going to simply tell it to save as. Call this add to cart 003.jpg. Again, guys, remember the .jpg here. You want to make sure that you save it that way. Otherwise, it's going to save it in whatever format that GIMP creates with. Click Save, Export, Save again, and we're done. And close the metrics. Confirm that our images are there. Now you'll notice over here on the left we have the image that we created yesterday. Let's open that with the photo viewer to get a better look. Then there's the one we created when we first started today's lesson. And finally, we have our exclusive JV Partners Only offer. Each of these were created really quick and really easy. I'm sure that as you get to using the tools more and more, you're going to find new things that you like to work with, things that just fit your creative style better. But as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or hit me up on Skype. Thanks. Have a great day.